Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. Let's talk about Allie and Trip for a minute because I don't know what to say about this scene. I felt like I lost patience in the beginning the minute that she seemed like she was being asked some sort of Jeopardy question. You know, he basically was like, "Are you in love with Chanel?" I Now I'm not gonna lie. There was one point where it just went to this detour. This is after he asked her a basic question like, "Do you still love her?" And I felt like it took 20 minutes for her to sit there and answer it. And she's like, "Yeah, I still love her, but I also love you at the same time." And I'm like, "That's not like, is that supposed to make him feel better? I mean, besides all the wounds and everything like down his face, is that supposed to somehow make him feel better?" So they take this detour, and I understand where it was going, but I'm not gonna lie, I felt like, I don't know. Whenever you sit there and bring up somebody's sexuality, um, it's always like a fine line where it's just like I feel like people can get so easily offended, and I was wondering where it was going. I remember him saying something along the lines of maybe with Trip, it was easier to be with him because you know she was still coming to terms with her sexuality, and being with Trip was easier. And I was just like, bro, you are treading a fine line, bro. I felt like it was a court case when you have the person that's just like, hey, let me just go there with this, and you have the judge like, all right, well, just tread lightly with this. Um, but basically, what it came down to was he was basically saying that Chanel was very wild and free, as opposed to Trip being very straight and narrow. Chanel reminded him. I mean, Chanel reminded her of how she used to be. Back in the day, she was a party girl. She didn't really have a regimen or a plan or anything like that. She just kind of just, went with the flow. And more or less, that's how Chanel is. Um, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of felt like they should just went there instead of the beginning with the whole sexuality thing. But after a while, Trevor's like, "Listen, I need somebody who's going to be with me wholeheartedly. I'm not gonna sit there and be having half of someone's heart." And at this point, Allie's like, "So what are you saying? What do you think he said?" I'm like, Trip, you might wanna kind of slow it down for her because I don't think that she's use smaller words or something. I don't know. Um, but at this point, Trip was like, "Listen, the best thing you can do for me is to let me go. Like the best thing you can sit there and do for me is to let me go." Um, and she starts crying and everything like that, and I'm just like, bro, I don't really know who's actually supposed to feel sorry for you. I really don't. I mean, this man literally jumped out of a window to save your life. And granted, he said, "Listen, you don't owe me anything. I didn't do it this way. You can sit there and feel like you're obligated to be with me. Like I did it because it was the right thing to do. It's who he is." Um, now she's all upset. She's crying. She's like, "We're not gonna see each other anymore." And I'm like, "No, he's still a good guy. He's still gonna, be there for Henry. And he's gonna be your friend," which is, to be honest. Listen, I can sit there and see him being with Henry because it's not his fault that, well, let's be honest, but his mother's a train wreck. Um, but he said, "Listen, we're going to be friends." I think that's a very amazing quality to have. I am. I think if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I'm not exactly forgiving type. Um, Not exactly the forgiving type. I mean, in certain situations, I will try to be, but for the most part, especially on something like that. I mean, on something like that, it's just no. There is no coming back from that. Um, but he said he'll be a friend. He'll still be with her. He'll still you know be there for her and look out for her and take care of her the best he can and just be a good friend. And I think that's given everything that she put him through. I feel like that is a testament, and you can only just sit there and say thank you. I'm grateful to still have you in my life, and get up and walk on out of this. This way, this man can sit there and rest and heal. So she goes out there and she's all crying, she's all upset, and she's all like, we ended things, and I'm just like, I guess I'm supposed to feel something for her. I got nothing, but yeah, I got nothing. Now Johnny and Chanel, Johnny's like, oh, I want to get married, let's get married. I'm like, bro, what the hell are you talking? What? First of all, you do realize that her mother's going to jail. Um, she doesn't know what she's going on. She doesn't know her status with Allie. And she literally is there saying, like, hey, listen, I love you, but I also love her too. Now, at that point, I felt like you should have probably just been, you should probably take Trips route and just be like, you know what, maybe we should just be friends. But he wants to go all in because he feels like his life is imploding. Later on, he finds out that he doesn't have a job anymore at Demara because, well, it didn't work out in EJ and Chad's favor. Um, the movie that he was planning on doing worked with a scumbag, and now he's dead. So he doesn't really have a lot going on for himself. But I'm like, bro, you're still rich. Like, you still live in a fantasy. And that's another thing that I'm kind of just sitting there looking at it like, am I really supposed to sit there and feel bad for him? I was like, bro, you still rich and you live in a mansion. You acting like your life is on free fall. Like, oh, what am I going to do? I don't have a job. Like, and I'm sorry, sweetheart, you worried about supporting yourself? Because you're rich. So, I don't feel like, I don't feel bad for you. Like, I really don't. I mean, I don't know, and that's another thing. I don't know if because Jake, he was living in that garage, and that was pretty much all he could afford or whatever. I'm like, you're Demara. Aren't you supposed to be getting some sort of money or inheritance or anything like that? Aren't you supposed to be getting something? Like, I mean, yeah, you have to name Demara, but like, you're not getting anything. Like, did I miss something? Um, but he said he's gonna wait for her because she's still in kind of free fall. And I'm like, all right, Johnny, good luck, because the tide can turn around the other way, and she can sit there and want to go out with your sister. And I mean, she was already with your sister, and you're somehow still cool with that. So I have no idea what the hell is going on with you. Now, yeah, again, at the meeting, Kristen came in, and Kristen was like, yeah, I could roll for you, EJ, but it'll be a lot more fun. And at first I was like, Kristen, you gonna kind of have to explain yourself. And Kristen pretty much is like, yeah, listen, um, when I needed you to represent me, you got some other lawyer. Hell, you didn't want to have anything to do with me because apparently I was bad press for you. So why should I sit there and help you out now? And with Chad, more or less, Chad was like, listen, um, I practically took your wife on vacation from the kids, from yourself, from work. I treated her very well. And even though she got in my business or whatever, and I might have threatened her a couple of times, I didn't actually do anything, like, I didn't actually do anything, towards her, like against her or anything like that. And we really sat there and stopped to think about it. Yeah, she kind of got taken there against her will, but it's not like she was like locked in a dungeon or anything like that. Like, she was free to walk around. She had lovely dinner and stuff like that. And like, you was on a vacation. Let's just be very clear. Um, so she decided to side with Gabby, and so Gabby, pretty much told both Chad and EJ to kick rocks. So after that, Gabby was sitting there making Jake jealous by flirting with Shen, and was like, oh, no, we just gonna hang out, just me and him. And you said you want to keep things just business wise and everything like that. So you good, right, bro? All right, so I'm just go out with Shen now. We're just gonna just kind of just have our little thing going on. You can tell Jake is jealous as hell, and it's like, bro, she gave you the opportunity to sit there and get back together with her, but you practically told her to kick rocks. You don't get to have it both ways. Like, you don't get to sit there and tell her to kick rocks, hang out with Ava, flirt with Ava in front of her face, and you know that he was enjoying it a little bit, and now it's not exactly so fun, is it? Yeah, exactly. I was like, I feel nothing for you, bro. I really don't. But he does get a call from Kristen, and Kristen's like, listen, I did you a favor, and then you can now, I mean, listen, Gabby's there now, but I mean, she's not Demara. Like, we're Demaras. So, more or less, I feel like she was sitting kind of implying, listen, you found a way to kick her out, and you put me in, and, we good. Apparently, I was not there wondering that. I was like, because EJ said something along the lines of, like, yo, she's a criminal, like, on the run. And I guess one of the clauses that Stefano made was like, yo, listen, regardless of the law, if you didn't like break any other sort of rules or whatever, you can still have voting rights and run the company and all that other stuff apparently. So Kristen is, she's still in a good position. And now it seems like she wants Jake to kind of, get Gabby the boot. Which, to be honest, it really shouldn't be so hard for him to do because it's not like she didn't sit there and oust you, kind of kick you to the curb. Practically was about to have sex with Johnny like there was no tomorrow, and now she's all apologetic, but that's just way too late. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Jake is somewhat of a good guy. Like, I feel like he probably wouldn't do it. Um, but I'm like, at the same time, like, you don't want to double cross Kristen. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Now, with this whole Jan Spears thing, I'm going to be completely honest. I know they've done stuff like that in the past. When it comes towards using a child to try to get this, to try to get with someone or try to drive a wedge between people. And I feel like it's just such, I don't know. I feel like for me, it's just a step that's just too far. I already don't like Jan Spears in itself. But now that, you got Bella Smith there yelling at her, and now she's faking like she got cramps and stuff like that. Because Sean comes in there, Sean's like, what's going on? They start arguing and stuff. Now Jan Spears act like she has cramps, and maybe she really does. I have no idea. But now she's all like, oh, you hurt the baby, this, that, and the third. They go to the hospital. Bella's outside. Bella comes in and Jan Spears like, oh, send her away. She's just gonna hurt the baby. And I'm like, I'm gonna be honest. This is probably the most insufferable part of this episode. Because to be honest, I really did enjoy the episode, and I get it. Jan Spears has to be there to make them interested. Cool. Not exactly a fan of the way that she's going about it, but it is what it is. So Sean's like, listen, let's go get some coffee. And Bella's like, no, let me just do something that's far away from here. Now, Bella should have probably Bella should have knew better. Like, here's the thing, I get it. Jan pushes her buttons, okay? And when you're angry, you do stupid things. But I feel like Bella probably should have been in a bit more control because if you're yelling at someone that's pregnant, being that she was pregnant herself, you know that stuff isn't good for the baby. Okay? Rather she was faking it or not, she's gonna feel bad if something actually happens. Um so I was really glad that she kind of just removed herself from the situation. And I mean, I saw the previews, okay? So I know it's gonna go down between Bella and EJ. I look at it, I'm like, I know some people are just like, yo, Bella's gonna be sitting there cheating on Sean again. It was like, well, all right, the first time she did it, and there was no excuse for that. All right, there was none. This time, I feel like it's kind of even in the score. I really do. Um, I once asked a question with one of my exes. And it was a scenario question. And, it came up as far as cheating. And I remember I asked a question about, I was like, if I cheated or whatever, would you do it? And she was like, no, because, I don't think it's right. And, two wrongs don't make it right. And it wouldn't make me feel better. And all that other stuff. And she asked me that question. I was like, yeah, I would. Because I feel like it would save, I feel like at that point, I feel like it would save whatever relationship we would have. Because I feel like, for me personally, and I know this comes across as petty, and I know this comes across as, two wrongs to make it right, and it doesn't. And it's all true about the pettiness. But emotionally, I feel like, yeah, I'm not having that imbalance in my relationship. Like, if she cheated, then I'm going to cheat to make it even. And then we could just sit there and start it now. I know that's exactly a logical way of thinking, and I know the way of thinking is, you should just sit there and find yourself to sit there and forgive her, and you don't want to sit there and hurt her like she hurt you. I was like, yeah, I don't, but I'm not just, no. I'm not just going to just sit on it and just be like, nah, it's cool. It's cool, you did this, whatever. Nah. And it's funny too, because every time I sit there and think about that scenario, or I think about that conversation I had, I always should think about an episode of Family Guy. I know it's like not related, but this is when Lois cheated on Peter with Bill Clinton, and Quagmire was like the only way you could sit there and fix your relationship is for you to do the same thing because you can't have that imbalance. And I know that's a really crappy thing to sit there and like take away from that, but I just couldn't sit there and be like, no, that's cool. So Bella comes over and talks to EJ, and EJ's like, yeah, it didn't work out. That whole meeting didn't work out, and Kristen was pissed off at me, and yeah. So he's drinking, and Bella's like, yeah, make me one too. And he's just like, you want to talk about it? And I already knew what Bella was going to say before she even said. She was like, no, I just want to just sit here and drink and just kind of just, drown in our misery. So they drink, they toast, they get all cozy and everything like that. And, that was about it. I'm not going to, I would definitely want to sit there and see the dynamic between those two. Because EJ is a very, I feel like EJ could be a very rash and impulsive person when he's angry, you know? And Bella is a lot more logical and, she's not going to sit there and think about like revenge and stuff like that like EJ would. Like Sammy is all about that. She's all about revenge and, she's very similar with EJ, even as far as getting mad and just being like, all right, cool. I'm not going to get mad at you. I'm going to get even with you. Bella would just sit there and bottle up that anger, and she may do something, but her first thought isn't just like, I'm gonna get even. That's EJ's style. So I feel like they're very opposites in that way, and I feel like it'll be very interesting to sit there and see more scenes with those two. And I am actually looking forward to, I mean, let's be honest, anytime scenes with EJ is great. So I'm definitely looking forward to more scenes with those two because it seems like it's going to be a very very interesting dynamic. Anyway, I feel like that's about it for the most part. I really do feel like that's about it. So yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video.